Good afternoon. Welcome to the Augusta Co-op Row Report. I am Troy Grimm. I'm the Agronomy Division Manager for Augusta Co-op, my office here in Stanton, Virginia. The Augusta Co-op Row Report we do every month or every other month, and we try to highlight and feature new and innovative products that we sell here at Augusta Co-op and offer to our customers to help improve their profitability and efficiency in their operations. Today we're going to talk about Inogen corn from NK. I'm sure some of you folks have heard of Inogen corn. I know that Drover's magazine is advertising it some now. And so we started doing Inogen corn 2 years ago and have had some pretty good success and got a good many acres out this year, and have seen some very consistent things about it that we really like and our producers really like. So we're going to talk a little bit about Inogen corn. So what is Inogen corn? So Inogen corn is just basically seed corn. It has an alpha amylase inserted into it. So it is an inserted, technically not a gene, but it's an inserted process that is technically not a GMO. Now, of course, these corns are all triple stack corn, so they are GMOs, but the process is not considered to make the corn GMO. So what is alpha amylase? Alpha amylase is the protozoa that breaks down starches and sugars. It is natural to most any living thing. Cattle have alpha amylase in their saliva as well as in their pancreas, and humans do as well, and that's what helps break down starch and sugars. Now, alpha amylase is fairly unstable. It's what occurs naturally in a cow's body is very dependent on temperature and pH. So it's one reason why it's so hard to get, to use up all the starch in your feed, in silage or corn, either one. When you're feeding it, it's hard to use it up because the alpha amylase that breaks it down is very unstable. So as it goes through the gut, it tends to become less effective. So what Inogen corn does, it inserts alpha amylase into the corn itself, and that alpha amylase is much more stable to temperature and pH. It also travels with the corn as it goes through the animal's gut, makes it much more efficient. So that's what Inogen corn is, and that's kind of how it works, and we'll go a little more into detail of what that means and with some of the results of that. But as we talk about corns that are very highly digestible and the starches are very highly digestible, we've always thought in agronomic terms that you gave up a bunch of yield because of it. Most folks have some experience or at least aware of BMR corn, which was pretty popular several years ago, and a lot of dairies were planting it, and it was much more, the fiber digestibility was much better, but by that being that way, you gave up a lot of agronomic traits, a lot of yield. Most of it was very disease tolerant and just didn't yield as well as normal corn. Had some standability issues and things like that. So the one great thing about Inogen is that you don't give up any of those agronomics, none of those traits, none of that yield potential. They're in great, it's available in great genetics. That's, there are genetics that you can buy that are not Inogen, and all those agronomic traits are still there. Good yield, good disease tolerance, drought resistance. The ability to put those plants or that seed in a lot of different conditions and still be able to make a yield and treat it like you would any other corn you have on your farm. You don't have to worry about yield loss and all those things that you would have with some of the other options that we've had in the past. So, we brought Inogen into our setting because we're basically a forage-based area. Most of the corn that's grown here is for forage. Now there is obviously corn that's done for grain here for cash crop, but a lot of it's for forage. So a lot of dairies, a lot of beef cattle operations that are feeding silage. So we brought it into this. If you've heard of Inogen before, you may know that its original purpose was to create better ethanol, or be more efficient for the creation of ethanol in corn, using this Inogen corn, and that is being done out west some. But we brought it in because of our forage-based market, and when we brought this in, we tried it very small amounts the first year, got some out, made sure that agronomically the corn was good, we're getting good yields, and the varieties we were going to use we had used in the past in their normal numbers, making sure that was going to translate over once it was made into an Injun corn, and it has. So we're very confident with the varieties that we're using. The varieties we're mainly using here in Virginia, in Shenandoah Valley, and even more southern part of Virginia, is an E1808 and an E113Q6. The 1808 or the 118D8 is actually 1808, which you can buy, as a regular corn from NK, and the 113Q6 is actually 72Q, which is a variety with NK's been around a good while. It's a very good yielding corn as well. So as I said before, we're using this because of the efficiency of it. So I guess I would say that you're not going to see, like, you feed this corn and your milk production is going to go through the roof. That's not necessarily what we're seeing or what we're even saying. What we are saying is we're seeing efficiency increase. So there's kind of two ways to go about this. You can create higher milk production with this by using this corn because it is higher starch digestibility, and the fiber digestibility is really good on it. Or it helps to decrease cost and maintain your production. So how do we do that? Okay, so one of the big things we're seeing with dairies is, one of the big problems dairies have is when you're switching from corns to corn. So you've been feeding corn that's been in sod for, several months, and when you get to the end of that, especially like in the late summer, early fall, when you chop corn, you switch over onto a freshly ensowed corn that may only been, ensowed for maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, and we see a drop in production because of that in corn. The corn has not been ensowed long enough to be as efficient as it possibly can. But what we're seeing with Injun corn is that switchover is coming with no production loss whatsoever. We're switching over from an old silage to a new silage, the new silage being Injun. The cows continue to milk the way they are. They have been at the same production level, no problems. So that really helps from a lowering cost standpoint, just because your milk production doesn't go down. So that early feeding is really important. A lot of dairies struggle with that, or can struggle with that, especially when you're tight on feedstuffs from year to year. Also, what you'll see by this corn being so much more efficient in its starch and sugar levels and the way it's absorbed and its ability to be absorbed is, you see a lot of people cutting back on the amount of, shell corn, ground corn, whatever that may be, in their ration. The corn is already in your silage, is already more efficient. You don't need as much corn added. So obviously that lowers cost. So a lot of times we're seeing, good production with a lower cost at the same time. It's worked very well when mixed with old silages. Silages are more suspect, maybe doesn't have as much starch content, maybe not as digestible as you'd like for it to be. Mixing Injun with those silages has also shown some really good results in making that, your suspect corn silage still work for you pretty good, and not, lose all the production that you would have lost just feeding it by itself. We have we're seeing a lot of beef guys feeding it as well, that are background calves and that sort of thing, and getting along extremely good with it. Not really having any, some of the foot issues you may see feeding high corn. Those cattle are shining up really nice, really quickly, and also they're seeing the same thing. They're having to add less corn into that ration to still maintain the gains and the results that they're after. Everybody feeds them a little different, and everybody's usage is a little different, but we are seeing that more efficient, that real efficiency and lower cost because of not having to add as much shell corn, ground corn, whatever that may be, into that ration. So one thing I wanted to show you here a little bit is that the starch availability. If you can see the screen here, you'll see that you'll see the starches are maybe not much different. The green bar, the light green bar is Injun, and the dark bar is just other corn silages, regular corn silage. And you see that the starches aren't much different. The actual starches in the corn's not a lot different, but if you look at the small particle starch, on average, it can be as much as 200% higher than average corn, and so that's a big deal. And then if you look at the in pseudo starch digestion after 7 hours, you're also seeing a pretty good increase, 14% increase there. So not only is the small particle starch really a whole lot higher, you're still getting more digestion of that starch after 7 hours. So that's one of the things we see. One of the reasons we wanted to try this and feel like it's giving us some results. And then you see your sugar contents here. Sugar contents are generally just higher in this corn versus other corns. The water soluble or the water extract soluble or extracted in water, your sugars are much higher, as well as total sugars are a lot higher in this corn compared to conventional regular corn that we would do for silage. So, you know, this is has been kind of a win two ways. We've been able to have some corns out there that the production has been really, really good on. You know, very common this year to see this stuff, this corn on dry land between 25 and 30 tons of silage. So you're not giving up yield at all. But we're getting this efficiency that we wouldn't have had otherwise. You know, disease tolerance has been very good on them. Production's been good on them. We don't treat them any different or do anything different to these than we do anything else that we deal with. One thing you will see is kind of interesting with this corn is it has a marker. So when you look at the ears, not every ear, but most of the ears have a dark or black looking kernel in it, scattered about through the ear. That is totally normal. It's just a marker so that you can tell it is Indian corn. Kind of reminds you, you know, like Indian corn, some of those dark kernels on that ear, but that's what it's for, is a marker. So you can tell it's Indian. So by growing this corn, and one thing we need to make sure everybody understands, getting Indian corn and using Indian corn has been a really good deal. Got a lot of guys, you know, switching to it, at least in part, you know, to help on that early feeding or that efficiency. But there is some stewardship to this. So if you want to plant Indian corn, we have to do a contract for you. We have to, you know, record where the fields are that the Indian's going into. And if you plant it, it needs to be either chopped or shelled and consumed on the farm. It cannot leave the farm. Can't go to the poultry growers or here at Augusta Co-op or anything like that, because the starch is so digestible in this that if it gets into the food chain and they want to make like corn chips out of it, it just won't work. It won't. It's not sticky enough to get the corn chips to work. So we got to make sure that it stays as a forage product, whether it's, like I said, silage or shell corn, high moisture corn, whatever, earlage, whatever that needs to be for your operation, but it needs to stay on farm, be fed on farm. So that's one thing we have to make sure we get done. It's a very easy process. We actually do it, the majority of it for the grower. They have to watch a very short video. We bring on the farm on an iPad, show you the very short video, and that's really all that the grower has to do. We may ask that some folks from NK or Inogen may want to come look at the fields at some point. We've never had that happen here, but they will. That is, you know, a possibility. Most farmers don't mind that anyway. The other good thing about Inogen is this price point is very, very, very competitive. You know, if you prepay for Inogen corn, either the 18D8, the 118D8, or the 113Q6, you prepay for it early. I mean, you're getting down into the under 250 range on you know, cost of this corn per bag, which is very, very competitive with most major brands and most high yielding corns. So it's not cost prohibitive by any means compared to other corns. So it's a very good value as well for what you're getting. Again, you know, we try to bring innovative products that will increase efficiency and profitability for our customers. We feel this is one of them. I don't know that it fits every situation, but I think it fits a lot of situations where guys are feeding corn silage. And I think it has worked very well for the guys that are doing it, and continue to increase those number of bags and number of acres out there, and plan to continue to do that. And so we wanted to bring this to you and kind of explain this technology. And you know, if we can ever help you with this, if you're interested in Inogen corn, please contact us here at Augusta Co-op. Anybody in the agronomy department, myself, Mark Weekly, Colton Sullivan, Mark Clayton, can help you with this, explain more about it. We've got some really good sources with NK that can, you know, really go into depth with this if you want to. You know, more specifically how it works and how the traits are inserted and all that kind of stuff. But we got a lot of information we can provide. If you want pricing on this, we obviously can do that. And if you're interested, we can help you with all that contract process and all that. So again, Inogen from NK, really good product, really innovative product that seems to be working well for us and our growers. And if you're interested, please contact us here at Augusta Co-op. This has been the Augusta Co-op Row Report. Have a good evening.